I try to be an optimistic person, I really do. But this does feel like a weird year to have Christmas. This feel like the type of year where you gonna go to bed December 24th and wake up and it's December 26th. You know what I mean? Not just Christmas, all the holidays. It feels kind of wild. All the holidays. It's like, all right, I guess we gotta try. All of it. I don't know a single person that's excited for their holiday coming up. Everybody's like, and I gotta do this. No, not at all. You know, I try though. Try to bring some joy back, some whimsy. You know, I've been going to the mall in every city that we've been going to. If I can make it to the mall, I go to the mall. Y'all remember the mall? It's like Amazon with rooms. No. And when I go to the mall now, especially this time of year, I look for Santa. You know what I mean? Because nobody's going to Santa anymore. It's actually really sad. Like no one, no, you go to the mall and no one is going to Santa at all. It's like we've lost it socially. Like it's not happening. Even when you look at social, you're seeing less and less people post pictures with their kids with Santa and stuff like that. Like we're just not doing Santa. I don't even know if they tell kids about Santa anymore. It seems like they don't tell kids about Santa. My friends have kids. And I don't know a single kid that's like, oh, I'm hoping Santa brings me. All of them got an Amazon wish list. They all. We've lost it. We've lost that like touch of whimsy. We have, you know, now the kid knows. The kid had the wish list, had it all picked out, emailed you. And now if everything not on the list, they're like, I guess times must be tough. Like the thing, this is what Santa did for our parents, right? Santa was this little gap where like some real magic could happen. You came up with your list, right? And you were polite because Santa's a stranger. You don't want to come off greedy. And so you would write down a few things that you would love for Christmas. You would even scratch stuff out. People would kids that I knew would pour so much attention over, they would stress over their Christmas list. They would go over and over again, they scratch stuff. I know I actually want that. You see this little piece of paper, by the end of the day, it was unrecognizable. So many scratches and then writing over and then scratching and then misspelling, and now you gotta rewrite it because what if you misspell it and Santa doesn't know what that is? You know? And so you would write this letter and then your parents would be like, we'll mail it to Santa for you. You're like, thank you so much. You already doing a lot. That trip to the I remember my mom was like, I'll send this to Santa. And I was like, you really a saint. You know that? Like, you are, because you knew I wasn't going to make it to the post office on my own. Like, you really doing me a solid right now. I'm going to go back to playing with these blocks, but I won't forget this. You a real sweetheart, you know, truly. And then Christmas would come and the presents were wrapped. And even if you stayed up, there were a lot of parents out who were too crafty. You couldn't catch them, you know? Yeah, you'd think you were staying up too. You would think you were like, I better go to sleep because if you're awake, Santa won't come, which was kind of true. was like, all right, okay. And then, you go to sleep. I remember one time I went to sleep. This is Christmas Eve. Went to sleep. Woke up middle of the night. I was terrified. I was like, he gotta know this one not my fault. Like he got it. And I woke up because I needed to go to the bathroom. And so I was laying in bed and I was like, I think I'm gonna have to wet this one. I think I'm gonna have to. It's not worth Christmas, all right? I can try to hold it as long as I don't dream about water. I think I'll be all right. But if I get up and then Santa hear my feet, that might be a wrap for the whole year. I've been good all year, not for nothing, not for nothing. I was good all year, and he was watching this stuff, so I'm probably gonna get everything that I asked for. So I can't risk that over a little tinkle. And so then Christmas Day comes. Wow, Christmas Day is here. You wake up excited for Christmas, but even more excited that you see sunlight. It means you can finally pee. And so you bust out of the bed and you run to the bathroom and the door is closed. Someone's in there. And you're like, all right, I've waited for hours. I guess I can wait a little longer. They come out of the bathroom. They're like, Merry Christmas. There's no time. All right. You rush past them, slam the door. You come out. After you wash your hands, you're like, I'm sorry about that. All right. I've been dealing with a lot. Christmas morning, it's time to open presents. You sitting there and you see a bunch of boxes. You see a bunch of boxes, and some of them aren't even boxes. Some of them just gift wrap lumps. And the lumps worry you because you're like, I don't think I asked for anything lumpy. I don't know. This might be for somebody else. He might be confused. You sit down and maybe every family does it differently. Maybe each person opens a gift and they all take turns and you all like, that's great for you. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe you get to open all yours and someone gets to open all theirs and everything. And I was the only child, and I was the first grandbaby in I think a decade or something. So it really was like my mom, my aunt, my dad, my grandma, my grandpa were all in on Christmas for just me. I was so blessed that they really were excited to see me open these gifts. I didn't have to yeah, I never had to fight for that sort of attention or anything. They were very excited to see my reaction, right? Which is a blessing, and let's just call it a double-edged sword. Because now, without me realizing, there's a bunch of pressure for me to like every gift because each gift was from one of them. And so I started opening gifts, and there were some years where I was very blessed. I had a bunch of gifts. Some years where I got a few gifts, but they were exactly what I wanted. So I started opening gifts, and maybe my grandma would hand me one and be like, "This is from Santa." You know, I'd be like, "All right." I'd start opening it, and I remember the year, a Nintendo 64. I didn't know how unproductive my life was about to get. I didn't know. Ooh, I was about to have a rough year in math. Because they got me an N64 and they got me Diddy Kong Racing. A true N64 classic. I didn't know it at the time, but I was a part of history. I would lose thousands of hours like many children to a game where you could either play as a plane, a car, or like a little hovercraft tubing thing, which really didn't make any sense. Like that's love that game so much. I played it for hours Christmas Day. And then, I didn't play it right away. There were other gifts to open. This was a beautiful Christmas, right? I remember I got handed one of the lumpy ones. It also said from Santa, right? And I was like, okay. And I opened it and it was two shirts. Not to sound ungrateful, but as someone with shirts, I was like, ooh, okay, wow. And it fits me just right. I know he wrote Josh, but he must have meant another name. This needs to go to someone who doesn't have shirts. It's just because then when you would open these gifts, you would think back to when you went to see Santa and you told him about this, and he was like, "Oh yes, that sounds doable. That sounds well. If you've been good this year, then you have nothing to worry about, right?" And then you would think back to that thing when you open the gift and you're like, "Oh, this is what he was talking about." He said, "I didn't have anything to worry about, and my man came through." You know? And then, as the years pass, you find out. You find out, and like Christmas, it doesn't necessarily lose its magic. It just morphs into a different thing. Because one thing that my family would do, I don't know about anybody else, because there are some families where I completely understand. I really don't judge how you try to enjoy the holiday or raise your family, but there are some people that I knew growing up who Santa didn't come to their house because their parents were like, no, I got it. Oh, please believe I didn't work overtime to give the credit to the man at the mall. No, daddy got you that. I remember one time my friend was my friend's dad was talking about it, and because he had said something about like, but what about when Santa comes? That's like all I heard in the conversation. But what about when Santa comes? And he was like, Santa work 1 month out of the year. I work all 12. I'm handling it. You know? I remember this is like right at the cusp of me finding out, right? So this is like right before I found out, okay? But I remember being like, I was still a young kid. I wasn't like itty bitty. I was where you start putting it together, and because I come from this area in the South. Like, I come from Louisiana, and I'm blessed to be raised by all of these educators and everything, and just like living down south, you'll experience it sooner or later. And then sometimes your parents try to shield you by arming you with the knowledge of what the world is like before you have to experience a part of it yourself. And so I was being taught about segregation, about how my grandmother was treated when she was a kid, about what laws there used to be in the place that we live. That they were telling me how this thing wasn't that long ago, that people would try to make it seem like ancient history, but a lot of those people are still alive for it, which means it's more recent than they're comfortable with, you know? And I was finding out about segregation right around the time that I saw a black Santa and a white Santa. That's how I remember going to the mall that year and seeing Santa, and he was white. And I sat in his lap like all those other years, you know. And I don't know, I was just thinking to myself as a little kid, you know, I was just thinking to myself, like, yeah, this is progress. You know what I mean? Like, we always. Because also, you're so little when you were going to Santa, especially in the 90s, when you would go to Santa, that it was a whole other year later. You didn't really put it together that this Santa didn't look like the last Santa. Santa would change it wasn't until I had almost figured it out that I was like, oh, Santa, how you been? This man's like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, you just, you just look a little different than. What different? How do you mean? And it's like that was on him. That was like follow-up questions. It's not my fault anymore. How do you mean? I was like, oh, you don't know? I guess if you don't feel different, you're not different. But yeah, last time you just had, a glow about you. You know what I mean? Like, because not everybody had the same loving experiences with Santa that I did. I'm aware some people had their bad, you know, their bad experiences. My friend wrote a letter to Santa because that's how his parents had him do it. He was like, they were like trying to teach him letter writing and penmanship and everything. They were like, you got to write a letter to Santa, and the letter to Santa has to be clear, it has to be legible, and you have to write it like a letter. Dear Santa, say exactly what you want, and make sure you sign off sincerely yours, your name, right? Write a letter. And so he wrote a letter to Santa, and then he didn't get what he wanted that year, and he was so disappointed. That the next year, this is what they made him do every year. The next year, he wrote a letter to Santa again, but instead of making requests, this time he was just sort of airing his grievances. He was just sort of airing his grievances about the prior year. So he wrote this letter to Santa. He was like, "Dear Santa, I'll kill you." You think you can play with me? I was good all year last year, and you didn't bring anything I wanted. You just brought me stuff that my parents told me that I should buy with the money from my lemonade stand. How are you gonna take their side over mine? Thanks for nothing. Good for nothing. Santa. Sincerely yours, Roger. And of course, his parents read the letter, and then he got in trouble. And he felt even more betrayed. He was like, "You read my letter to Santa? Is there no justice?" That was a private conversation. Over here meddling. And so when I go to the mall and I see Santa, it hits different. I remember all of these like special experiences I had with Santa at the mall, right? And then I see Santa over there, and they don't even have him in prime real estate anymore. They got Santa in the back of the mall. They put him in the back, they put him in the corner. They put Santa in the mall the same places that the airport put Spirit Airlines, where they unless you got a ticket, unless you got a boarding pass, you won't find this area at all. Even with a boarding pass, you always in the wrong area. How you gonna have a terminal 4.5? You know Spirit Airlines, it's the Waffle House of airlines. I've actually flown Spirit plenty times, and I love to see a fight. I love to see a fight. Because here's the thing, and I know Spirit gets like a bad reputation because basically everything that is happening on other airlines is just happening on Spirit, but Spirit takes you to a place where you're willing to go to jail. Like you just like you're like ready. You know what I mean? You ready? And so a fight on Spirit Air, because I'll give you an example. I've seen a bunch of almost fights on Delta. I've seen a lot of almost fights on Delta because what Delta will do is that they will put your layover, they'll make your layover 12 seconds. So you'll leave, you did everything you're supposed to do. You got to the airport on time, you went through TSA, and then you board, and then you take off, and then you land. And you knew it because they did it on your other boarding pass. They were like, oh, the time that you're taking off is the time that you're landing. They're the same time. They're the same. And when you look at it initially, you're like, oh, I must gain an hour. No, it's no time zone difference. Yeah, and so then you land panicked. You land because you're missing it. You land and you're late. You're already late. And so you want to get off the plane as soon as possible. And you will ask the flight attendant even, you'll be like, as you're boarding, be like, I have a very, very tight connection. Can you please make that announcement y'all make sometimes about people who, you don't have to say my name, like people who have tight connections so that if people could sit and then let them leave first and everything so they have a chance to make it. So they have a chance. You remember chances? And I remember the last time I asked a flight attendant to do this because my entire group, we had such a tight layover that I was like, it is a significant amount of people on the plane that have to get to the next gate, which isn't close because that's also too much to ask. It would be crazy if you landed and you had to go next door, right? It's like, no, if you got a layover, the fun of a layover is running. The fun of a layover is running, you know what I mean? It's not a layover if you don't exercise. It's not a layover. Okay. This is probably gonna be where you turn on me, but look. There was a flight I was on one time where where we landed was my final destination. But those people had like a tight layover. So then they made the announcement. And when they make the announcement, I just sit. I do my best to just sit. Unless the person who needs to get out is like in the window or something. Now I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is also why it doesn't work. Because a bunch of the people that don't have the layover didn't all have aisle seats. Like you basically pushed a bunch of people into the aisle to try to get around them. We might as well all just leave now. You know what I mean? We're actually holding it up now by other people letting you be like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And like letting you pass where there's no room. Aisles weren't made for people. It was made for one person. So when someone's getting by, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. It's my bad. Sorry. You're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it. And so there was this family, tight layover, right? Not sitting together. Not sitting together at all. And everybody is doing the best they can. I'm not saying they should have planned and sat together or anything like that. Maybe there really wasn't the possibility. Maybe by the time they were buying tickets, it was just a bunch of single seats, you know? And so the family, which was like a big family, it was a Kevin McAllister amount of family. It was crazy. This family had every aisle seat down the entire plane, right? Like it wasn't a big plane. It was one of those where it wasn't just the two seats. It wasn't that small, but within the three seats, it didn't go back that far. Probably had like 30 rows or something like that. But it just straight up like 15 people together needed to get off to go to the same flight. And I knew that because they were talking to each other as we were landing. They were yelling like up and behind each other and talking to each other as we were landing. And they all had the shade up and they were all like, yep, we close. Like it was. And so then we land, they make the announcement, please let these people go, right? So then these people are trying to get out from their middle seat without the other person getting up. So before the other person can even offer to get up and get in the aisle to make room for them, they're like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Sorry. Right? If you climb me, don't say excuse me. Do you know what I mean? Like if you give me, if I'm sitting. I'm sitting. I'm sitting next to you, sitting like a Christian, sitting. And then you get up and you don't even know what you're trying to give me. You don't know if it should be the back or the front because you don't know how nimble you are, right? They're both bad in their own way. They're both horrible. Because if I'm sitting and then you got to get over me and now you over here just foot in front of the face and you just fighting to not sit in my lap. You over here, if I miss the lap, it's fine somehow. Everything is fine now. And I gotta sit there like that didn't happen. That's crazy. I don't know what's worse. I've had back and I've had front. Front is crazy, because front is a relationship. I've had people stand up middle seat, turn around. That's what happened on this flight. Turn around to talk to the person behind who's also in their party, and was like, we got 6 minutes. We got 6 minutes, and it's at another terminal, so we're gonna have to run, right? And then, before I can even unbuckle my seatbelt, okay, I'm sorry. 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 Climbed over me front facing. Whole time I got posted up like this, posted up elbow. Trying to block something. Falls on me. Then gets up, gets in the aisle. I was like, where are you going? We married now. And so they were running, right? all running out and everything, because they all pretty much did the same thing. Some of them were nimble. Some of them were like, you know what I mean, all running down the aisle. People actually were sitting and not getting up and letting them go. It was a real show of humanity. You know what I mean? I guess other people on the plane were like, yes, we are here, so we'll wait the other 30. Usually society falls apart in that moment, you know? But let everybody get off. And then in first class was someone who I assume was the grandfather figure of the group, but they hadn't sent the wheelchair down the jet bridge yet. And so Grandpa was sitting in like row 2, aisle C, watching his family run. And then one of them bringing up the rear was like, Grandpa, come on. And he was like, did you forget? And you can see it's like, I don't know, this is me projecting, but it felt like a very like son-in-law situation. Like the way that Grandpa was talking to him, it felt like he married in, because this unless he just really doesn't respect his own blood like that, this was crazy, right? Did you forget? And then he's like, okay, I'll see if they can send a wheelchair down and everything. And he was like, go without me. Just go. I don't know what trip they were trying to make. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I genuinely, there are some people who save up for years to go somewhere exotic, somewhere they've always dreamed of going, or maybe they want to bring their family. There are some people who get the opportunity to go places because it's being gifted to them. There's someone that's bringing their whole family somewhere. I can't imagine the stress this family was under to just be scrambling off the plane like that, right? All I know is that this man, he said, go without me. And this man cupped the back of his neck, knelt down and tried to put his arm under his knees, and got ready to try to pick Grandpa up and run with him. Panic is one thing, but like, never let panic give you confidence. Because look, I'm just telling you what I saw, I'm not judging, but Grandpa was built like Santa. And bro was built like me. So the idea that he was gonna pick this man up and run down a terminal to a terminal in 6 minutes is a delusion. You have a spell on your mind if you think you're making it. He got Grandpa legs right about here. Grandpa over here. And we all heard it, they being loud too. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing implies I don't want to be picked up. What are you doing? You know what he's doing. You grown. You know what he's doing. But what are you doing is your way of saying stop, right? And I don't know. He believes in himself. He trying to make the flight. He bends his knees and gives it a shot. It's crazy when you pick somebody up, like, I don't know, marriage style. I don't know what this is, but like when you pick somebody up like bride style like that, their eyes and your eyes are like level, right? And so Grandpa over here. Now son-in-law straining. Now he over here. Oh, 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 oh. I've never heard somebody muscle tear through their voice. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, 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 oh. Are you done? This man said, put me down. To be fair, he had never really lifted him up. Lower the legs down and everything. And then he was like, go. Son-in-law over here. They bring down the wheelchair. I have no idea if Grandpa made it or not, you know? I don't. I just wondered if like maybe a different airline would have brought a wheelchair faster. Maybe as an airline they only got one wheelchair, so then people have to share frequently, you know. It's tough. It's tough. Back of the airport, back of the mall. I was walking in the mall. I came across a Santa. No line. No line at all. And really, truly, like, I don't even know when the last time it was that somebody made going to Santa part of their Christmas card. Or I saw it on social, like baby's first, you know, visit to Santa, anything like that. So it does make sense. There's nobody here, you know? And so I was like, I'll take a picture with Santa. I do that. Sometimes I'll take a picture with Santa, especially if it's a situation like this. This dude is gonna be here for like 8 hours, and he can't be on his phone. Santa can't be on his phone. So I'm like, let me just, you know what I mean? Support. You know, he's done a lot for me. Let me do something for him. And so I walk up, and, you know, I gotta register, you know, you gotta purchase it from the elves beforehand, because you know, capitalism, right? And so I walk up, and all right, I've done this a few times, right? I've gone to the mall, seen Santa, taking a picture with Santa, right? And how do I put this? They are nice to me in a way that's disrespectful. You know, so I walk up to the elves, and I'm like, hey, I'd love to take a picture with Santa today. And they were like, what package would you like? I was like, oh, I'll take the digital package with like 2 printouts, right? And they're like, you sure you want to do it today? Because I'm going to be honest with you, that's not even the real Santa. Like, no, for real, he like a low-key backup Santa. Like, he's, you know, real Santa got food poisoning. He called in sick, so they called him. But like... And I was like, well, I'm only here today, so yeah, let's do it. He's like, Are you sure? Then the elf pulled out a picture of the other Santa with another family and was like, this is what you're missing out for. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was a better Santa. Like, it was like, nah, he had like a twinkle and everything. It was crazy. Like, I don't know if he used Visine for that or something, but it's just, you know what I mean? Like, you could hear it. You could hear, you looked at the picture, it felt like you could hear his dimples. You know what I mean? You know? I was like, well, no, I'm here today. Let's, you know what I mean? Like, my man over here by himself, let's take a picture, right? And they were like, all right. And then I walked up to Santa, and this is my thing. This is what I'm talking about being too nice. I'm a grown man. I told you my name. You don't have to call me buddy this much. This is, we get into some real disrespect here. You know, and I know I don't do myself any favors because I walk up, and I guess I'm not presenting like this is just gonna be a chill. I'm excited to see Santa. And I think that's what starts us off on the wrong foot, cause he's sitting there and then he see me coming and you can see in his eyes he like. What always hurt me is they look behind me for a family and they. And then, you know, I walk up. And once again, yeah, don't do myself any favors because I bust in there. You know, they got the little fenced off area within the fake grass and then all the presents and the trees like that. And then the trail leading out that is to a line that nobody's in, right? So I walk up and I walk up a little fast. There's no line or anything. I don't know a good pace to walk. I'm not running, but like I'm walking. You know what I mean? I know where I'm going, and y'all made that snake line like it's gonna be the bank. You know what I'm talking about? They got extra fence like there's gonna be a line. There's no line. So then I'm trying to get to it. It's awkward. He's sitting over there. He a maze away. I'm just getting it over with, right? I'm sure from his perspective, because he's being still, it looked like I'm running, but I'm not running. I'm walking. I'm walking with some pace, right? But then I walk up, and then as soon as I get through the gate, and I walk up to him like, "How's it going, Sam?" And that is too much. That now he doesn't know who he dealing with. Like now he extra nice because he's unsure. You know what I mean? Man, over here, and this is my thing. I know we two grown men, but like, you gotta stay in character. You know what I mean? Like, cause I roll up, I'm like, "Hi, Santa," and he's like, "Oh." You are supposed to say ho, ho, ho. How do you do the exact opposite of your literal catchphrase? I'm like, "How you doing, Santa?" "Oh." How are you? What's your name? And then I was like, "I'm Josh." And I know that by using my thumb to point at myself, I know that was a wild move. If you use your thumb to point at yourself, you probably don't do everything yourself. If you're using your thumb to point at yourself, you're probably 12. You're very proud of a certificate you just earned or something. It's like, "What's your name?" "I'm Josh." "Oh." There it is again. Why are you doing that? You know what I mean? And so, you know, He's sitting there, and there's a chair. There's a chair. There's nowhere else. You have to sit in Santa's lap. It's part of the experience. You do. And so the fact that maybe I seem eager, that's fair. I seem a little eager. And that's on me. I should be cooler about it. I should walk, you know what I mean? I shouldn't jump, yeah, so. But yeah, I go ahead, sit in Santa's lap, but, you know, he even had the little, like, yeah, like, he knows they built it this way. This is how you're supposed to do it, so that. And I sat in his lap, and admittedly, I should have started talking. Like, I shouldn't have just sat there waiting for him to speak or something. But and I know that everybody's doing their best. I never want to put somebody who's making an honest, just an earnest effort down or anything, but. His lap game was lacking. Like this, like I've sat in many laps. I've been serviced by many Santas, and when I tell you this man's lap was weird. Like this. First of all, so I sat in my man's lap, right, and I've never felt anything like this in my life. It felt like the top half was Santa and the bottom half was elves, because like his legs were built like mine. Like he had the skinniest legs. So I can't even get comfortable. It's like he missing a lap. I'm like, you sitting down, right? Felt like I was sitting in between two rungs of a ladder. I was like, where am I going right now? It was at that moment I was like, maybe I should have waited for the other Santa. Like he just, you know what I mean? Felt like his lap would have had more cushion to it, you know? And then he's like, well, what would you like for Christmas? And I was like, Santa, I would love the Millennium Falcon Lego set, the one that came out in 2004 with about 3,000 pieces to it. It's very hard to find online, and if you could get me that, that would make my entire Christmas. And I think my specificity hurt me here, because once again he was like, oh, I was like, that's the third one. This man said, oh, well, oof. I hope that works out for you. I hope that works out. Where's the magic? I hope that works out for you. It's a crazy thing to say. Not it'll be there. Not I'll do my best. I hope that works out for you. Are you ready to take the picture? I was like, yeah, I guess, Santa. Like, over here phoning it in. And then you take the picture, and I'm over here. And he looking at the camera like I'm not gonna see the picture later. Cause I'm grinning ear to ear. I'm with Santa. This man. Unacceptable. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are we even doing? You know, like Santa should be battling, trying to fight back for the position that he has lost. Because he has lost it now. What used to be an experience that you waited all year to have is just a couple of clicks to a wish list, and he's left by the wayside. You would think that Santa would be excited to see anybody that was excited to see him. You know, unacceptable. It felt like I believed in Santa and he didn't believe in me, you know? And so, you know, I get off Santa. Takes a second because he got, I don't know, it was weird. It was like I was so sunken in to the cushion because there was no lap or anything that I was genuinely like over here. Thanks Santa for his time. I'm walking away, leaving the little fenced off area. And just as I'm walking away, one of the elves, I passed them and they were like, see? It still sort of blows my mind. I can't believe it, if I'm being honest. I can't believe that they agreed to do it. Like both of them agreed to. Like Trump and Biden are going to debate. They both agreed to debate. This was crazy about them debated. We know how we feel. Like, it's weird that both of them were like, you know what'll do it? You know what'll lock it up? If I talk one more time. That's what the people want, you know what I mean? They want to see me at the booth. That's what. No, it feels crazy. There will be, I can only tell you this. It's months away, I'm sure. But whenever it happens, the only loser will be us. We will. Both those dudes are going to talk and interrupt. It's going to be a hell show. And then everyone's going to walk away like their dude won. And I do my best to be honest with you and be honest with myself. It does make me nervous, and I think everybody's nervous. I think all parties involved are nervous. You know, I'm nervous for Biden to debate because I'm nervous when Biden talks. Don't be like that, you know. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is the best way I can relate it. Because Biden starts sentences ambitious. The way I relate to how Biden talks is when I first moved to Chicago, right? I didn't have much. And I moved, and I really wanted to clear my head because I was overwhelmed
with the move, right? And I was like young, but I was still scared. I didn't feel like I knew enough people to really have like a support system or anything. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna learn the area. I'm just gonna go for a walk, and without my phone. I don't want to be in my phone. I want to learn the neighborhood. I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna clear my head. So then I left my phone at the apartment, and I just went for a walk, and it felt good. It felt genuinely great to just not have people texting me, not be getting notifications on my phone, not get distracted from anything by my phone, and just look at what a beautiful city I had just moved to. And the weather was nice. Y'all would have appreciated it. It was very sunny. All the white people were smiling at me. It was, black people too, but just there's a certain, I don't know. And after a while, 10, 20 minutes, I don't know, I didn't have my phone. So I don't know how much time had passed, but I got to the point where I was like, all right, feeling good, I feel better, let's go back. And I turned around and I was like, uh-oh. Because I had just moved to a new city, and I knew my address, but I didn't know much else. I don't know how many lefts I took. Like, I was just sort of following the sunlight. I was letting them lead me. And then, now I'm like, uh-oh. And so it took quite a while. It took a much longer walk than I anticipated for me to get back home. And that's what every sentence Biden says feels like. It feels like, because you can see when he ready. When those first two words in, it's like when somebody try to run and they can't really run, because it's like he start off hard, and then by the middle, you can see in his eyes, he's like, oh, where was I? And then by the end of the sentence, he's like, I think I stuck it. So I'm nervous for Biden to talk, and I know Trump's team is nervous for him to talk, not just because this debate is going to have certain stipulations, like they're going to cut his mic if he goes over time. There's all this stuff. I think that genuinely Trump's team is like, he's finally going to say it. We've managed to go 9 years without him saying it, but he gonna slip. He gonna say it. I don't think it'll even be in like reference to black people. He just gonna say it. But he gonna be talking about fruit or something, like even racist people will be like, huh. That's not how I use it. He's so creative. I will say, people go on and on about Trump being racist. That man is way more weird than he is racist. Trump's racism is like here. His weirdness is top notch. Because I gotta watch a lot of the news. For work, I have to watch a ton of news. I have to watch not everything because it's not humanly possible, but I have to watch things over again. I have to go back. I've watched so many of his rallies, right? I've watched a ton of rallies. And he has a thing at his rallies where it feels like a wrestling match. I can understand why people enjoy going. I do. I get it. Because it's politics for sport. Like, when to boo, when to cheer. It's theater, right? And he is good at it. We'd be delusional to pretend that he's not good at it, right? But every once in a while, even he won't know what should be next. Like, I was watching this rally where I think he was going on like immigration, then he was going on like finances and Wall Street and stuff, and then out of nowhere he just started talking about the water pressure in America. And you could tell people who had just been cheering were like, yeah, oh, yeah, I guess. Nah, he's not wrong. I have felt that too. Like, I felt like this man was railing about immigration, and out of nowhere, he's like, there's no like the shower don't hit. The toilets don't flush when you want them to flush. It take 3 flushes. This man literally was like, it take 3 flushes. What are we doing, people? The washing machine doesn't get the stains out. Like, it really was like this political thing that quickly turned into like how his day was going. And honestly, it's the most relatable he's ever been to me. Because I was like, nah, he not wrong. Sometimes when you at a hotel, it does drip on you. And you're like, nah, I need power. I need that masseuse setting in the shower. Yeah. This is, okay, look. This has bothered me for a long time. And I know nobody cares because it's like barely topical anymore. But there's a case against Trump, one of many, right? There's a case against Trump with the classified documents. Now, a lot of people say that's going to get thrown out. A lot of these are probably going to get thrown out, right? But the classified documents case, I don't have proof. I like to think I'm not like a conspiracy theorist or anything, but for real, I don't have proof. So what I'm telling you is me just talking to y'all because we're friends, okay? So I'm just telling you what I think. I'm not telling you that like the prosecutor can even pull him up on this. I'm just saying that this is what I think, right? So the classified document, he basically, in case you don't know, took a lot of documents with him when he left the White House, right? And they went to Mar-a-Lago and retrieved a bunch of them. And they were in all sorts of different rooms. Like they were in the closet. Some of them were in the bathroom. There's all this stuff like that. Now, the speech that he gave, the rally he gave that I was talking about before, was towards the end of his presidency. And I think this is what I think happened. He started bringing up the water pressure. I'm pretty sure he tried to flush documents that day. Before the rally, like they were like, Mr. President, we have to go. Like we have to go. We're going to be late. And he's like, he read something that didn't seem good. Everybody jokes he can't read. The man can read. He probably read it and was like, this one. And then he flush it, and because it's printer paper, it doesn't go down like toilet tissue. So then after the third flush, it's not going down. He's like, this country is doomed. All right, this should have been gone down. And so then when they went to Mar-a-Lago and there were all the documents stocked up to the ceiling in the bathroom, people were like, why were there documents in the bathroom? I think that those were unflushed documents. I think that I don't have any proof of what I'm saying. Take it all with a grain of salt. We're here to have fun. But no, I do think Trump's team is a bit nervous because the agreement for the debate had like very specific stipulations that like some people saying were fair, some people were saying were deeply unfair and everything. But a lot of it just doesn't play to what Trump is good at. You know what I mean? Trump is good with a crowd, and they didn't want to have a crowd, stuff like that. And I don't know. As much as I, pick on Biden about talking, Trump has his stuff too. Like, I remember that time he tried to say origins. In case you haven't seen the clip, it's phenomenal. Basically, it's rough because I'm not even kidding. I'm being real with y'all for a second. I did feel bad for him in that moment because you can tell he know the word. You can tell he's trying to say orange, or he's trying to say origins, and he keeps saying oranges. But he doesn't mean to. It's like when you keep texting the same auto-corrected word and you don't mean to. You know what I mean? Like your friend texts you something crazy and you try to text back like fuck, and then you end up texting back duck, and then you text duck again. And then you text duck one more time. And then you get upset, so you just text damn it. Like, that's... Because he knew the word. He really did. He was like, the oranges of it. And you can tell he got a little embarrassed because he know he on TV and everything. And so he tries to back up. He's like, the oranges. The oranges. It was like watching somebody with their phone, but in his mouth. He was like, and I was also like, he needed to tell his mouth to act right because I can tell his brain knows the word because he kept saying oranges. He's like, the oranges, the beginnings. Where it starts, the oranges, the mms. One thing I wish we would have got more of, because it was spectacular to watch, was a real, like, Trump versus DeSantis. We didn't really get it. You know what I mean? Like Trump just started smoking him off his like swag, and then DeSantis dropped out. But I want them to go. I want them to debate. That's what I want to see. That's what the world needs. Those two debating, getting at it, and not about policy or anything. Because honestly, they both have shots for each other that would go harder than Kendrick and Drake. Like. Trump and DeSantis in a debate, all Trump has to do is, do his thing. I'm the president you love. I'm what, and then DeSantis can just be like, well, I served in the military. Where were you? There was one roast that Trump got in on DeSantis that was particularly spectacular. It was fire, right? Because everybody was making fun of DeSantis for wearing heels because we couldn't tell if he was wearing heels or not because he always was like, his height is weird. There's pictures where he's next to people and he's taller than them, and then there's pictures where he's next to other people who are the same height as the other people he was taller than, and he's the same height as them. So people were like, he's wearing platform shoes, he's got to be. And then Trump, ooh, it was cold. It's one of the coldest things I've seen him do in a long time. So Trump was explaining the shoes out of nowhere at a rally for no reason. Nobody said anything. He was talking about infrastructure. He was talking about how bad Biden is. And then out of nowhere, he was like, hey, have you seen DeSantis' shoes? They're weird. When he said they're weird, I paused, and I went and popped some popcorn. Because I was like, he's about to light him up. And then this clip did not get passed around as much as it should have, but basically he was describing the shoe, and he was like, you can't tell it's a platform shoe because it's a heel inside. Like, Trump has trouble with the word origins, but he roasted this man so articulately. Like, just... He was like, no, there's a platform within the shoe, so it looks flat at the bottom, but up top, he's on his tiptoes, and you can tell when he walks, I'm not even kidding, Trump did this, you can tell when he walks because he goes like this. Wow. That's my main thing with the debate, too. Biden versus Trump debating. Again, we didn't get anything out of the last one that they did, you know what I mean? And I just think, okay, I do think it would be funny if, remember, we're here to have fun. It would be funny to be cool. It would be funny to me if during the debate, one of them died. Like that was, like that's... I see some of y'all, no. We're here to have fun. We're here to have fun. Don't do that. No. Cut it out. You know that it is, because these are very old men. They're both so old, they both used to be president. Like, yes. Do you know how old you have to be to used to be? The job you don't get until you're 70? That would be very funny if mid-debate one of them just tip and die. And then the other one's like, I rest my case.
Charleston, please make some noise for Josh Johnson!
I was talking to one of my friends, and he said that he knew, the first time he knew his neighborhood was broke was when the bank closed. It's a pretty good indicator.
The bank holds that branch's money, and that branch is falling off. And said he went to the bank, and he basically just straight up asked the teller, he's like, "Hey, do you know why this branch is closing?" And she was like, "Are you here to make a deposit or a withdrawal?" And he was like, "Withdrawal." And she was like, "Yeah, that's why. That's it in a nutshell. That's exactly what's happening. You do enough of that, and then there is no bank. We're just kind of a building with a little bit of parking." I don't know. I look back at the ups and downs I've had in my life. I've been like broke off and on my entire life, And there's a weird solace sometimes in being broke at the right time. Everyone thinks that the security is in having means and having money, but sometimes not being a part of the circus is its own solace in a weird way. You know that it's bad when you're really shopping at the dollar store. There are things anybody could use at the dollar store. You need a fly swatter, you might as well run up in the dollar store. You know what I mean? You need like a dustpan, might as well run up in the dollar store. But if you're really shopping at the dollar store, things are not great. I would go in the dollar store for stuff you shouldn't even be buying from the dollar store. They sell it, but even the cashier look at you like, "You sure?" I'm talking about when you have to get your meat at the dollar store. I knew I was in a bad situation when I went to a dollar store and was looking at that meat in the fridge, and I was like, Because the meat at the dollar store, they don't go into specifics. You go to Kroger, Walmart, you go to Target, you go to any of these places, and you'll see the brand of the meat, and then you'll see, all of the little no preservatives ever, completely organic, all the stuff. When you go to the dollar store and you buy your meat, it just says the price and it says meat. And you're like, maybe if I don't ask any questions, it can be whatever I think it is. Because then, I also got a lot of stuff at the dollar store, even as a kid, that I look back and I'm like, that probably wasn't the best. Like a good example, if you know, when you shop at a dollar store, especially if you ever got toys at the dollar store, that dollar store toys are in a very specific, slightly copyright infringed arena of toy. Like you would have a G.I. Joe, but it doesn't say G.I. Joe. It just says soldier. And you buy the soldier, and it even got the setup like a G.I. Joe, like it stands like a G.I. Joe, but the legs a little too short. So some very long arms. I couldn't tell if the arms were long or the legs were short. And it doesn't have like grip action. It says that on the front, grip action. It just has a hole. They didn't make a hand. They made a hole stub. And then this hole stub is what you go ahead and put the little toy gun through. But then they didn't really measure out the gun versus the hand. And so the gun is not in proportion at all. So it looked like this would blow his arm off if he tried to shoot it. But you bring it home and you're playing with it. And you're like, yeah, soldier, get him. And he's like, I'm gonna get him. Oh, I'm gonna get him. They getting it right now. Trust me. Nah, they getting it. Look. Point me over here. No, it was terrible. It was very bad. It was horrible. You would have those dollar store crayons. That's another one. It's a very specific type of drawing as a kid, because those dollar store crayons, they melt in your hand. So you got to be quick with it. You got some imagination. It needs to come out now. You got to put those crayons in the fridge. I remember being around some of these Crayola crayon kids being like, your crayon's stale as hell. Y'all don't even freshen up your crayons. That's crazy. That's why your pictures stink. You know what I mean? My pictures smell like leftovers. I remember one of my favorite toys from the dollar store was like a Stretch Armstrong, right? But it was Stretch Armstrong. It would only stretch for like 3 days. You only got 3 good. After that, it would get hard. And if you tried to stretch it after it got hard, it would cut your finger open. I don't know what it was made of, but it was the most malleable, unmalleable thing. It was Play-Doh and adamantium together. No, it was crazy. And that's the thing too, is when you're growing up in this situation, for anyone who knows what I'm talking about from experience, then you also know that it's very hard to know that you're broke, especially if you're a kid. It's hard to know if you are surrounded by love. My family loved me so much, so much. They still do. I make it sound like that. Make it sound like there was a falling out. They still love me. But no, I was surrounded by love. I had my grandparents, and my mom, and my dad's love. I had my aunt and my uncle's love. I had my cousin's love. I had so much love around me. And when you're surrounded by that much love, you don't know that you don't have money when you have that much love until you meet somebody who has both. That is a curious experience. Like when you're like, oh, you got both parents and a pool? Okay, I think there can be upgrades to life. I see that now. To me, greed is a paradox, because you want everything. Even if you have more than enough, even if you have so much that what you have is starting to hurt you in the long run. You see it with the way that hedge funds cannibalize whole companies. It's like, okay, everybody made some short-term profit, but now this thing that people used to love doesn't exist. You know? Like you take like a Southwest. You know, Southwest, people used to love Southwest. Bags fly free. Affordable tickets. You just sit wherever. You don't have to wait for the person. Southwest used to be so fire because then you don't have to wait for the person to get to their seat, and you don't have to get up for anybody. Do you know what it's like to just be in your seat on the plane? And everyone's almost here. There's a couple of stragglers. There's almost nobody coming down that aisle anymore. You even settle in. You're like, oh, I may not have a seat next to me. This may be the promised land. You get so comfortable, you're like, man, I might put my other leg over here. Southwest had a brilliant idea. And the bags were flying for free, which makes sense. The bags don't know where they're going. Why should I have to pay for this bag to have an experience too? You know? And then greed, and then private equity, and then hedge funds, and then, you know, shareholder meetings, and then dividends. All the things start to creep in, and it's like, maybe we'll stop doing everything that is why everyone likes us. Maybe we'll just be like the other airlines. They make money, but then you actually look at the people who fly Southwest, and they were like, oh, y'all aren't nice enough to be like them, though. Like, your seat doesn't even go back like that. Why would I pay for everything here that I pay for over there? That's crazy. And so then you see people plummet, because they're making decisions based on money, but not money that they need, just more money that they might be able to get. You know? And there's only so much that a business can grow. I understand a startup's passion, and that passion makes sense because the company just started. But after a while, it's like, do you really need to own everything? If the answer is yes, it's like, and they don't say it to us. They say it to each other. You ever get a hold of a recording of a closed door meeting and the way they talk about their own customers? You know, that's why greed is like a paradox to me. You're so greedy that then you end up cannibalizing your own company, your own efforts, yourself. You end up hurting yourself. American greed is another paradox because as much as we know that the millionaires and billionaires maybe got their money in a way that's a little nasty, we also kind of want to be them a little bit. Everybody wants their piece, but we know how bad it is. You know? There are people who I know who want to be billionaires. They aspire to be billionaires. But if you ask them to name like a good billionaire, it's a hard quiz. But they want to be the billionaire because they're like, no, I will be different. How? You know? That to me is like a drug dealer saying, no, I'm gonna be different. Oh, how so? Oh, I'll only sell drugs to bad people. How will you know that they're bad people? Word will get around and they'll buy my drugs and I'll be like, that's a bad guy. No, it's not going to be different just because it's you. That's the trick as well. No, it's different when I do it. It's different when it's me. It's different when it's for me. It's different when it's for my family. Right? So then you hear people talk about recession. That recession is coming. Recession is looming. And to be fair, people have said that since the last recession. Every year, I'm not an economist, but every year there's somebody that's like, it's coming. Get ready, batten down the hatches. And so you're in this situation where, people are very worried, and understandably so. Because it's not really about the money. Money is mostly like the conduit. Money's mostly the placeholder. There are people who find money to be a game, and for them, the number is the important thing. How much actual money they can stack and hoard is the real thing. I want to show how rich I am is the real thing. But for almost everybody else, it's about their survival. It's about taking care of yourself. It's about taking care of the people that you love. So when they hear that there's going to be a recession, they're not really thinking like, oh, the number will go down. They're thinking about food. They're thinking about housing. They're thinking about resources. And the only way forward is with other people. We've proven that this thing doesn't work. And by this thing, I'm not just talking about like one specific system. I'm not talking about like capitalism. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm talking about we've proven that a true rat race does not work. I can't believe the world watched Squid Game and was like, yeah, I think I could win the pot. The pot is the problem. And then I think the other problem is that if you are pitted against people, if you're pitted against the other 330 so million Americans, then yeah, the odds look insurmountable. But when you see how many people are actually in your situation, and you see how many millions of people are just like you, and you put yourself on the same side as them, all of a sudden, all of the weight, it gets a little bit easier. There are people around the world that will never have access to the things that we have access to that make it work. And so sometimes we stress, oh, how am I going to make it work? And it's like the number one way is through community. Your future is your neighbor. There's no other way forward. And I know that can be scary. That's an idea where you have to lay down so much trust at the feet of people that you don't know. That's very scary because I've had good neighbors and I've had bad neighbors. I've had very bad neighbors. I had a neighbor who stole my trash can. It's the trash can. You could just put your trash in there too. Stole my trash can and lived next to me like I'm not gonna notice my trash can. And he was big too, and I'm pretty sure he sold drugs, so I wasn't gonna take my trash can back. But I was like, I will put my trash in my trash can over here though. Just because you stole the trash can doesn't mean I'm gonna get another trash can. It's a trash can, and trash goes in. You could put your trash over here, but then you wanted to put it in front of your yard. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm sure you have a gun, so I won't make a big deal of it. But I've had bad neighbors, and I've also had incredibly kind, incredibly sweet neighbors. I had neighbors that made any transition period I've been having in my life easier. I remember when I moved to Chicago and I was living in my first apartment. I had a neighbor that knocked on my door. I had been living there for like 2 days, and I didn't have stuff. I'm like this broke kid who just moved to Chicago with like 2 suitcases of like clothes and a couple of other things. And so knocks on my door and it's like, hey, this older guy. And he's like, hey, I saw that you moved in. If you need anything or you have any questions about the building, just hit me up. I live right there. And I'm thinking he's like the building manager or something. So I'm like, oh yeah, what's your name? And we get to talking a little bit. And as we're talking, I realize he doesn't work for the building at all. This dude is literally just checking on me for the sake of checking on me. And he's like, if you need anything, because I saw, you were having a little trouble, I couldn't have caught up to you, but I was going to help you up and everything. And I was like, oh, thank you, man. And we didn't see each other often. And I remember the day that I moved out because I ran into him again. I ran into him and his wife. And he was like, man, I'm sorry to see you go. Because I can tell, we never really got to chop it up or anything, but I could tell that I like the way you move. And you didn't cause any trouble. You were just cool. And I wish I would have knocked on your door a couple more times, right? I never forgot about that guy, because even knowing that there was someone there if I was having a problem, it just made living there on my own a little bit easier. Just in the back of my head. Once again, we didn't even have that many interactions. I only knocked on his door a couple times. And the couple of times I knocked on his door, he needed help too. There was one time where we had in our building a chute for the laundry that nobody used. Nobody ever used it because it's not like it was one person. Do you ever, the chute for, this isn't Eloise. It's weird that there was a chute for the laundry because it just went to the floor down there, and you'd have to go down there to wash your own clothes anyway. So I guess if you wanted to save yourself the weight of the trip, you could push all the clothes down and let them get nice and nasty, and then slip through the chute and then hit the ground and now it's got different stuff on it than the reason that you're washing it. So nobody used it. And nobody used it because it was nasty. And so then one day, the actual building manager poured a whole bunch of, bug poison down it to try to, kill some of the bugs that had been living in there. And the bugs were like, you know what? I think we'll go everywhere else. And so then one day I came home and my apartment was just overrun with bugs, and it didn't make sense because I didn't even have stuff. I had a fork, a bowl, it was kind of like a saucer. It wasn't a plate. It was a plate that you would put a teacup on. I didn't even have dishes to be nasty enough to have all these bugs. So I'm freaking out. I'm killing a bunch of bugs, and then I run over and I knock on his door, and when I open his door, he looks like me. He's like, you too? And both of us just knowing that we're both dealing with bugs was enough to make the whole thing easier. He helped me kill some of my bugs. I helped him kill some of his bugs. And we were both very upset with the building manager. I had another neighbor when I was living this short little bit in this, I don't even know how to describe it. It was it was a house. It was a house. But it was You know how it wasn't a duplex. Okay. The house I was living in was like perfectly split in two, right? To make two unlivable houses. Okay. So I wasn't staying there for long, but it was just two completely unlivable houses, right? And I had a neighbor that lived next to me where I moved in. And once again, this older lady, so sweet as could be, knocks on my door and it's like, hey, I saw that you just moved in. She had baked something, like old school, like out of the movies. She had baked something. She was like, I made you a little something, some muffins. I know moving is hard. I know sometimes you don't have anything to eat right after you move. So this is for you, right? And I was like, oh, I didn't even know what to do. I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And she was like, yeah, I like to help people get their bearings. And just so you know, I just want to be the one to tell you so you don't have to find out on your own. There's a crackhead in the wall. And when you get that type of warning, it does make you look at the muffins twice. One has nothing to do with the other. But I was still like, oh. And she was like, yeah, we thought it was a bird for a long time. And then he started talking. And so if you hear anything in the middle of the night, just pound on the wall a couple times and he'll stop. I was like, okay. All right. Okay. And I closed the door and I sat in silence for the rest of the night, waiting to hear a noise that would never come. It wasn't until like months later I heard some scratching in the wall and I was like, how does somebody just live with it? And so I knocked on her door and she came to the door. She was like, you hear him too. And I was like, look, I know you lived here longer than me, but in case it is a bird, maybe we should call animal control. Just throwing it out there, right? And she's like, you can do what you want. I called animal control, and then they could hear the scratching too. And then they went ahead and went on the roof, and they said that they found a slight hole in the roof, and turns out it was a bird. It had been a bird the entire time, and I'm pretty sure it was a bird when she heard it, but maybe she just had the TV on. Maybe she was like, he's talking. Animal control leaves with the bird. I go over, I tell her it was a bird, animal control called the bird, and she was like, thank you so much. Seriously, thank you so much. That has been happening for like 8 months, off and on, and I was positive it was a crackhead. And I guess that's what a good neighbor does. I guess a good neighbor lets you know nobody's in your wall. Because I think fundamentally the toughest thing people are facing right now is like a true way forward where they can trust other people to help them and take care of them. And I can't tell you to just blindly put your faith in people that you don't know, even if they live next to you. But what I can tell you is that most people return energy. Most people give like for like. So if there's a community that you want around you, all you have to do is be its founder. If you are the one knocking on your neighbor's door, letting them know you're here, if they need anything, they'll probably do the same for you. And it's so simple to build community. It's so much more likely that you're going to build community than you're going to become a billionaire. Do you know what I mean? Like, both things are incredibly hard to do. They take a lot of hard work and everything, and one of them means everyone will hate you. You know, because when you're broke as well, the thing that happens, I think, the most often is that we have a real misunderstanding of each other. Rich people, the rich people that I've met in my life, no rich person I know feels rich. They feel comfortable. Now, they'll do whatever it takes to maintain their level of comfort, but they don't feel rich. They're like, no, I'm just comfortable. I'm just chilling. And you show them how much they make, and they're like, yeah, I got to maintain, you know, I got kids, and then you show them how much the rest of the world makes, and they're like, ooh. Okay, maybe we don't tell anybody how much I make. And the same thing, when you're broke, there's a genuine misunderstanding around the decisions that people make when they're poor, around the way that people think, because there's not the possibility of thinking past tomorrow, because you're not even sure you're going to get there. Do you know what I mean? When you really don't have means, when you really don't have money, you come off wild sometimes because all your requests are strange, because you're just trying to piece things together just so you can make it to the next day. You know? Like a good example is I used to work at a grocery store, and one time in the break room, we're eating our lunch, and this one dude opened his lunch and then just said out loud to everybody, hey, I made a hamburger at home, but oof, does anybody have a top bun? Sir. They're always sold even. How did this happen? We look at money as paper, right? At least when it's in its physical form, it's this paper thing. But it's more than paper. There's fabric weaved into it. There's linen, there's cotton. It works the same way that society works. There's fabric that weaves all of us together. And there are people who have not been able to participate in the opportunities of making money or making their well-being out of these chances in the market the way that other people have. And so when you tell them that a recession is coming, they're like, oh, a what? Okay. I was already broke. Do you know what I mean? What is a recession to somebody who was on the street the whole time? I guess the best example I can give is one time I was at a party with my friends, and I fell in the pool. And falling in the pool at a party is one of the more embarrassing things you can do when it's not a pool party. If you fall in the pool at a party where people are just sort of standing around the pool and talking, you might as well have fallen off the roof. But I fell into the pool at the party, which is not just embarrassing, it's not just annoying because now all my clothes are wet and everything. It's terrifying because I can't swim. You know what I mean? I'm not a swimmer in the way that I would like to be. And the way that I would like to be is to be able to survive. And so when it comes to swimming, I'm not only not a fan, I'm not efficient. And so I get in the water, and when you don't swim, and I don't just mean can't swim, I'm saying when you don't swim, like for fun or anything, being surrounded by water out of nowhere is very concerning. I didn't realize I had stepped into the pool until I was in the pool. So now what I feel like has happened is that I turned around and water surrounded me. And so I start doing what I think swimming is innately. I start fighting the water, right? I'm punching and I'm kicking and I'm like, get off me, water, but I'm in the water. But I'm like, get back, I don't want you over here. And that's not how water works. And so I'm sifting through the water, and it's almost like swimming, except I'm staying in place underneath it. So that is drowning. That's what drowning is. When you're swimming perfectly, but you're not going up above and you can't get your head up, you're not actually swimming. You're drowning, and it's also exhausting. You're fighting and you're punching and you're kicking and you're moving and you're doing a pretty good job of drowning. If you could get your head above water, this would be swimming. And if you could get your chest up, if you could do that butterfly thing, now you're a swimmer. But I am over here, no more water. Get out of my face, right? So then it takes someone pulling me out of the water for me not to actually drown. And not right after, not soon enough after, but pretty soon after, we leave the party. And not as soon as you would like if you almost drowned. You know what I mean? Like and it's tough too, because like the dude saved you as your ride. So now he's doing you two favors, you know? So then, you know, man saves me, and my buddy pulls me out of the water, and now, you know, we stay an extra 20 minutes because now he's got his MAC points for saving a life in front of everybody, you know? That's what most embarrassing. The only thing more embarrassing than like showing a whole party full of people you can't swim is to be sitting there wet while the person that saved you tries to mac on somebody. Just like, yeah, you know, I do what I can. I do what I can. Try to help out the people, you know, and doing my best. And it's like, also, my man didn't. Look, I'm not necessarily trying to give notes on being saved, but like, my man did jump in the pool and grab me and lift me up and swim me to the shore of the edge of the pool, right? This man just stuck his arm in and kept clawing at me until he got the back of my shirt. That's barely saving. Like, when I tell you that I'm over here, stop it, water, no, I don't want any more. And then he is over here, bow, and he missed like 8 times. So he was punching me in the head while trying to save my life. And he finally hooks his hand behind my collar and pulls me up the way that a cat sort of lifts its kitten in its mouth. You know what I mean? Just sloppy. And then I'm also still fighting. I don't know what's pulling me up, so I don't know if that's more drowning. I don't know what the effects of drowning feel like. So now I'm not necessarily fighting his hand, but I am still fighting the water. And so if you were on the other side of the pool, it does look like I was drowning. He reached in, dunked me one more time just to be safe, and then pulled me up. Because I don't know that he's trying to help me. But when he finally pulls me up and I'm over here coughing up the water and everything, this man helps me get up out of the pool and then immediately sees the eyes on him and everything, sees the opportunity, and he's like, oh, yeah, you know. I do what I can. Also, I know he saved my life and everything, but also the fact that he didn't need to roll his sleeves up like that. Like that was even more just worth like, oh yeah, you know, I tried. Now you sitting here wet, just like, can you wrap it up, get the number or don't? And so then me, him, and some other friends head to his car once he's ready to leave, and his car won't start. Waited for nothing. Now, luckily, we were staying at his house, and luckily he did live close enough to the party that we could walk. It was like maybe, I don't know, like a mile and some change. It wasn't crazy. And so we start walking. As we start walking, it starts drizzling. And then it's drizzling a little bit more, drizzling a little bit harder, and then it really starts raining. And when it starts raining, all my friends did a different thing when it was raining. Like, I had one friend that did the turtle. Just walking and just trying to... And I get it, because he has some deep He has some deep collarbones. He would have had 2 lakes on either side of his neck if he had just let the water hit. That would have been 2 puddles he had to carry. So I understand him trying to... Then I had another friend who was over here doing this, which genuinely pissed me off. That's one of the craziest things I've seen. One hand, you have 2 hands, one hand covering some of your head, but not even efficiently. Where's the distance management here? You'd be better putting the hand on your head. Then I had another friend who just decided to lean forward, because I guess he just doesn't want a wet front. He's just cool with it all hitting the back. And as it's raining and raining, my friend is over here doing this, turns to me, because I'm just walking. I'm not doing any of this. I'm just walking normal. And they're like, oh, John, you must not mind the rain. And I was like, I almost drowned 20 minutes ago. And that's what it's like when you're broke. You're almost drowning all the time. So when people try to scare you with talks of a recession, you're like, why would I? What? You're doing this. I'm already wet. And the way to ensure that you're going to be okay, the way to ensure that your family is going to be okay, is by creating chains, by linking up together with other people, with other families. Because the way forward, your future, I guarantee you, it's not in the market. There's a belief that, like, if I can just get enough ahead, maybe I'll pull some other people with me. And that sort of thinking is the reason that we as the people can be taken advantage of so easily when it comes to money. It's like, I can get you a little bit ahead. Oh, I'd like to be a little bit ahead, right? But the way forward, your future, I promise you it's in your neighbor. I promise you there's no one that's going to take care of you like the people that are actually next to you. And it's kind of daunting to me. It does freak me out a little bit that there are so many people, every election, every year, no matter who's president, that expect the person in office to make them rich. Don't you know this is America? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just not how it works. It's not how it's ever worked. You may like the person in office, you may not, but I guarantee you they're not going to make you rich. That's not how anything works. And don't get me wrong, I've had dreams before. I had a hard time getting to know people, and I had a hard time communicating with people. I'm an only child, and my mom wanted me to have friends so I wouldn't be crazy. And so as a single parent with 1 kid, my mom, the only thing she knew how to do was go ahead and take me over to her other single parents' friends' houses where they had 1 kid. And she was like, maybe y'all will just play and not be crazy together. And sure enough, there was a time in my life where my parents got back together. And so we were a 2-income household. So I started to get the good toys, right? The real good toys. I'm talking WCW, NWO, wrestling toys, Sting, Goldberg, Kevin Nash. And sure enough, you know, I remember I got those toys. Those are some of my favorite toys in the world because I didn't know ankles had come out yet. I would hold up my Kevin Nash and I'd be like, bow, 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 bow. Look what he does. Bow, 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 bow. He had knees, he had ankles. He could do this. That's crazy. I was used to this only. Maybe if you were getting fancy, some of this, but I wasn't used to this. This thing right here, this is crazy. Real shoulder movement? My mind was blown. It's like, look at what this thing can do. Bow, 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 right? And so then my mom took me over to her friend's house, and her friend had a kid.
And, I went ahead and brought over 2 of my toys. I brought my Kevin Nash and I brought my Sting because I'm trying to make a good impression. And so we're talking, they're talking, and finally we go to his room to play, and my mom leaves to go run some errands or something. And I quickly realized after my mom left that he was crazy. He was genuinely crazy because all of his toys, every single one of his toys, didn't have a face. None of his toys had faces. I don't know if he was chewing them or if he was burning them, but they were gone. And so he looked at my Sting toy and he was like, oh, we have the same one. And I was like, I don't see how that's possible. I don't see how that's possible. And then sure enough, this kid pulls out his Sting toy, and I know we have the same toy because the Sting had the jacket. The jacket you could put on, you could take off and everything. And so we're playing, and I'm trying to be a collaborative new friend, right? I'm like, what do you want to do? You want to do Legos? You want to do like wrestlers, whatever? And then we decide Legos. So I was like, do you want to build a castle? You want to build a wall? What do you want to do? So we decide to build a castle, right? And then this kid, we're halfway through the castle, maybe 100 pieces to go. And this kid grabs the castle, lifts it up, throws it against the wall. It explodes into like 190,000 pieces. And I'm like, what did you do that for? And he goes, don't talk to me. And I was like, oh man, yeah, chill, Satan, chill, okay? Back up, devil, okay? Because I had been prepared in case the situation happened, because I knew I wasn't a crazy only child, but I knew there were other crazy only children out there. So I already had my thing on me, right? I had that lance in my back pocket. I was like, don't you come near me. I will cut you open. This thing is 6 weeks old.
Please make it loud for Josh Johnson!
I've struggled with an idea for a while, and it's how like everybody, this sounds so dumb, just hold on. Give me a second. But it is crazy that everybody is a person. What I mean by that is when you're like a little kid and you just living your life, you go to school and then you go home and then sometimes you play with your friends and sometimes you stay in and you watch cartoons. You know that you have a life. You know that you're a whole person, even if you don't have a full awareness of yourself. You know that you go to different places and you do different things. Even when you have a new experience, it doesn't even occur to you to be like, oh no, I don't do that. Because you're a kid just experiencing the world. But there are boxes that we put people in. I think it's completely unintentional. I don't think there's any malice behind it. But I remember the first time that I realized that someone who I definitely cared about and I definitely enjoyed their company and I definitely liked was a whole other person. I was a little kid. I was with my mom at the grocery store and we saw my teacher. And I was shocked. I was like, I said it out loud. I said it to her. Why aren't you at school? If you're here, then whose? It was a crazy thing in my head. My brain was breaking in that moment. I'm this little kid. I've only ever seen her at school. She's supposed to be at school. I shouldn't see her if I'm not at school. And she's over here buying groceries. I was like, you eat groceries? This is wild. And then she was over here having a conversation with my mom. They both ignored me asking why she wasn't at school. I still had questions. And then she, said she'd see us on Monday and walked away. And in my head, I was like, Monday? It's Saturday. She's not even gonna be at school tomorrow. Blew my mind that one of my favorite teachers had like a house. And like, I'd always heard about her husband, but I thought that's just something teachers say to like pass the time and stuff. She had a whole life. And it feels like a silly lesson to learn when you're a kid, and then you get older and you realize you have to keep relearning it over and over again because you meet more and more people and you've already boxed them in. And then they surprise you, and then you think, oh, I'm a little ashamed I was even surprised. I should know from when I was like 6 that people are like, everybody's a person. But it's an easy lesson to forget because you can only sometimes see a person in a certain way. Like my friend, I have a couple friends now who they've got drunk with their parents, and it's a boundary that some people never break with their parents. Sometimes their parents are like, oh, I'm gonna have a couple drinks, but I'm not gonna be drunk in front of my son. You know what I mean? And then there are people who will always have that thing of like, oh, I don't want to be drunk in front of my parent. You know what I mean? It's like weird. I feel like I'd be in trouble. It's like, well, you're 42. Yeah, but still. I don't know. I don't want my mom to see me drunk. It's like, well, she saw you at your worst as a baby. I guarantee you drunk just brings you like one step above baby. But it was an interesting thing. My friend said that he got had a couple drinks with his dad. Now his dad was a sort of interesting case because when he was a kid, I don't know all the details, but his dad drank. And then there was something, whether it was something that happened or just like a general attitude towards drinking. At one point, his dad was like, you know what? I'm just not going to drink anymore. And he went like cold turkey sober for years and years and years, right? So he drank pretty heavily when my buddy was a kid, didn't drink until he was long out of the house. And it wasn't until after my buddy graduated college that his dad would like drink once in a while, have a drink with him. And finally one day his dad was like drunk with him. And he noticed his dad like drunk. And he was like, it's crazy because I know my dad used to drink and I can only see my dad as my dad. So knowing my dad is like an annoying drunk. I don't know. I guess I forgot he could be a whole person. Like, cause his dad had this weird like rivalry with him when he was drunk. He, walk up to him, impromptu, off of nothing. They're in the backyard. And he's like, hey. Looking good, young man, looking strong, looking tough. I mean, you looking real strong. What? You think you're stronger than me? What? I mean, no. Do you think he's stronger than me? We should race. You want to race? And he knows that a foot race with his dad sober wouldn't even be a contest. So he's like, nah, Dad, I'm good. He's like, no, come on. You know, if you're scared, say so. If you're scared, say so. If you're scared, the old man still got it. If you're scared, say so. Said he made it into one of the most annoying songs he had ever heard in his life. Just until he would raise him, if you scared, say so. And finally, he's like, all right, look, we'll race, fine. And he thinks if he stands up, his dad might just forget, you know, because he's at that level of drunk where he's on a mission, but not a mission he has to complete. Y'all know that mission. This is one of my favorite missions to watch people have on like a night out. You know, especially with like, but one of my favorite side quests in any night out that a bunch of ladies are having is finding one of their phones. One phone will go missing, and it will be the biggest deal in the world for 12 minutes. And then the person whose phone is missing will be like, let's just dance. It's like, all right, but you should go get your phone though. Like, you do need to call an Uber at some point and get home. Like, we need your phone. It's like, yeah, but like later. Like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't even care. It's like, this is my song. And then it resets because then like several songs later, it'll be like, yeah, you look so good. I'm going to take a picture of you. I'm going to. Oh my God, everybody stop. Everybody stop. Not their friends, everybody in the club stop. Everybody stop. And so this dude stands up thinking like his dad's about to be over it anyway. And he's like, Dad, I really don't want to, like, we're having a good time. Like, let's just chill out. And his dad goes, no, race me. And he's like, all right, fine, okay. So they line up. He's not really gonna race his dad. He's gonna like walk and let his dad win so he can feel good about being annoying for 15 minutes. But his dad stands up and he's ready. You ever see somebody look at a finish line like it's moving? Like, and then he said, all right, you ready? And they had already decided that his mom would say when to go. And so she said, go. And my buddy didn't even go. His dad took 3 steps and crashed into the patio table. And I don't know, yeah, it's gotta be tough. That's a moment that's like, you just know that now. You know your dad your whole life, and then now you're like, oh yeah, but like after the 5th Jameson, he will. You know. And that changes how you look at your dad a little bit, not even in the form of judgment, just like there's more information and you see him as like a whole person. You know good, you know bad, you know arguing with him, you know, and now you know this thing that you didn't really experience in the same way when you were a kid. Now you know. Even 4 Jamesons in, he's gonna go, no. Oh. Like I don't know if it's possible to remind yourself every time, every day, that a person is like a whole person. Because we are like so distant. Person to person. Like when you meet someone that you've maybe heard about, you can only go off your impression. That impression is colored by whoever told you about this person. And it's hard to remember. I try to remind myself all the time that like, we're meeting this person. Nothing nice has been said. but I'm sure they have a dog. I don't know, like some redeeming quality. And you try to approach it like that, and I fail at it a lot. Sometimes I let, whether it's gossip or just like a preconceived notion, take over, and then you end up being friends with this person, and you feel even worse because you're like, "Ooh, I judged you so harshly when we met." Some of my best friends, when I met them, hated their guts. I hated because I was just like, "Oh, just look at his face." One of my best friends from college, when we met, us meeting was me asking him for a pencil and him going, "What?" And so I just turned back around. I was like, "All right, jerk." Turns out he just didn't hear me. We're like really good friends now, but yeah, that was not a great way to start. One of my best friends, we had that same thing. So he's a big dude. He's like 6'4", 6'5", like a strong guy, wide guy, right? Big dude. And we were both friends with a different guy. This is freshman year of college. And we had both done things in front of each other that made us go like, I don't know if I like that guy. Like, I like our mutual friend, but I don't know if I like him. And then we kept being in scenarios where maybe we were waiting for our mutual friend, so we were left alone with each other. And in my head, maybe it's because of where I come from, and maybe it's because I've never been the biggest guy in the room, but this is a big old dude, and he doesn't seem like he liked me. So in my head, I was like, I just gotta act crazy. Like, if I'm crazy, that'll keep at bay his size. Because even a big man doesn't want to get bit. You know what I mean? I don't care how big or strong you are. Once everybody saw what Mike Tyson did to Evander Holyfield, they were like, "Oh, yeah, crazy wins. Crazy will always win. I like my whole ear where it is." And then he noticed me being crazy. And so he was like, "All right, I'm gonna have to flex how big I am." There was one time where we were waiting on our mutual friend because, forgot to mention earlier, our mutual friend was his roommate. So I had to be in their room a bunch before we actually got along. And I don't know, I saw him like eyeing me, and this is a college dorm room. So there's not a lot of space. So I'm like, this big guy's eyeing me. We're both waiting for our friend. So then I didn't know what to do. So I just started singing lyrics to Kanye West's 808 on a Heartbreak. No music. Impromptu. And lyrics I chose were, when I grab your neck, I touch your soul. And I just sang it to the wall, but loud enough for him to hear me. And I would later find out that when I did that, he was like, "All right, that's one of the craziest things I've ever seen." In my entire life, I was trying to mug this dude into submission, but now he sang to the wall, not even facing anything. I don't know what he talking about. Why'd he sing it too? That's crazy. That's crazy as hell. It's so much crazier to sing than it is to scream. Like if you come across somebody on the street and they scream it, you're like, all right, that's regular. If they are singing lyrics you don't know exist yet, because the album had just come out, if they're singing lyrics you don't know exist yet, get away. And so he was like, I gotta do something. Got to do something. And the thing that he decided to do was we both got a text from our mutual friend that it would be quicker for us to meet him where he was than wait for him to come back and us head out together. And so we decided to head out together. And while I'm in the hallway, it's a long hallway from the door room to the end of the suite. And when I'm in the hallway, I go, ah. And he says, what? And I'm like, I think a mosquito bit me. And I was being completely sincere in this moment. I started itching. I was like, what? And he's like, what happened? I think a mosquito bit me. And then he stands extra tall, every bit of 6'5", lets his eyes dart around the hallway and goes, you hurt my friend. And then he punched the wall as hard as he could. And when he moved his fist from the wall, there was a dead mosquito. And I was like, oh Lord, he big and crazy. Oh, I'm sick. Oh. And then we became best friends. We became best friends because we got to know each other. We got to know each other, and I got to know him as a whole person. I got to know how cool he was, how sincere he is, that he would do anything for his friends, including that mosquito thing. And he got to know me. And he still liked me. So we became best friends because I got to see like the whole person, you know? And then finally one day I told him about it. I was like, hey, freshman year, because when we were juniors, we became roommates. And I told him, like, hey, I just want to get something off my chest. Freshman year, when I was in the room with you and I just started singing, I was just trying to be crazy because I thought, like, you were real big and, like, I don't know, I had been bullied a lot, so I was just trying to, like, keep you at bay. And he was like, oh, that's so good to know. Which means in the time that we had become friends, he still thought, like, no, that's what he does, though. Like, that's who he is as a person. I was like, that's so good to know. Because, honestly, I was wondering what I'd have to do. I thought you were genuinely crazy. And that's why I punched that wall. When I moved my hand, I couldn't believe the mosquito had actually... It's wild stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's tough sometimes accepting that someone was like a whole person. Because it is easier. If someone sucks, it's easier to just, lean on exactly what you know, and that's enough for you, and they suck, and that's the end of it. It's not necessary in your mind to get down to the deeper root of the issue about why they might be the way they are. Whatever. They suck, and done talking about them. Like when I think about some of the most powerful people in the world, I think that way all the time. I forget that it's like a whole person because they suck. They suck so much. Like, I do my best to not be closed-minded about people. But the more I learn, the worse it gets. And no person is just one thing. Even monsters. Some monsters that get true crime documentaries made about them. They'll interview the kids. And sometimes the kids will be like, yeah, actually, he was like a super present father and everything. Like, it was kind of crazy. I know he killed all those people, but he came to all my soccer games. Like, it's a lot to process. Well, like, I don't know what makes a person. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know what makes a person the way that they are. I just have guesses. Sometimes my guesses are good, and I get to have a conversation with the person and see that I was kind of close. And then sometimes my guesses are totally off base because I don't have their mind. I can't act like I know why someone is the way that they are. I know for certain because of the people that I've been around. I know that sometimes when you grow up with real money, real privilege, it can be very difficult unless you are like delusional enough to accept the position you're in as anything more than like the randomness of who is born to who. It's very difficult to feel like you've made or earned anything yourself. If you are just born into billions, you see that's one of the reasons these people have to like make their mark on the world to prove that they're not just like some accident. Because within those families sometimes, and like, look, I'm not acting like I know billionaires. I know millionaires. And it's a little similar, but at the same time, there are some millionaires that are barely millionaires, so they still acting like they're middle class. Even though they're millionaires, it's actually pretty sad. And then there are people that are like multimillionaires, and I don't even really know that many multimillionaires, but I know those people have at least accepted their position as people with like wealth and privilege, right? I don't know any billionaires. But I do know the people that I am friends with that work with like truly insane net worth individuals have said things like, at a certain amount of money, it's not even money anymore. It's just you moving your will throughout the world. And that is how people with that much money think. And so if you are like a child born into this thing, especially if you don't take to it the way that we imagine people will take to it, because remember, a person is a whole person, but a lot of people will have a kid and have an idea of a child before the child is ever there. And then that idea of a child is exactly what this whole person has to be, or else they're a disappointment, or else they're a failure, right? I had the idea of you before you were ever here. And the idea of you that I had was, we play these sports together. I teach you to do this thing. We go to these things. You love the stuff that I love. Those are the hopes of like every parent. Every parent wants to share the things they love with their kid, and hopefully the kid loves them too. Because as much as you love your sports team, as much as you love your favorite hobby, it'd be so much more enjoyable if the person you love the most loved it too. A lot of people have those hopes. That's common. That's normal. But this like world of wealth, they have an idea of maybe building a legacy, building an empire. And now whoever comes, whatever this child is, they will be someone who can uphold, build up, maintain the empire that I built. They're not having like a child. They're having a vessel to continue their wealth into the future. And that's got to be difficult to grow up in, because yes, you have all this money, you have all this privilege, you have access to all these different things, but there's a person looking at you like you don't even deserve to be here. And then there's everybody else that if you tried to tell them how it felt, they'd be like, oh, I'm sorry I couldn't hear you through all that money. You know, cry me a river. You ever felt a penny before? And so you see people really trying to exercise out all of this trauma in a way where they still move their will throughout the world. So then we become the collateral damage of them trying to exorcise demons because they have the access to change the world the way that they see fit. And that leaves us in a very dangerous position. And I don't know exactly how to fix that, what to do about that, but I do know it presents itself in like little moments. Small moments where you can see, oh, this is like a kid. This is like a hurt kid. You know? Most powerful man in the world. Incredibly rich, billionaire. But this is a kid. This is a scared kid. This is a hurt kid. This is an angry kid. And I'm not saying that takes away all the damage, all the things that are being created by what this kid is doing. But like, I see you differently now. Like, in theory, I should be scared of you. I should be worried about what your next move is going to be. I should be worried if you're going to send someone to hurt me or my family, because you could do that. You're a very powerful person. But then things happen. And I see you react like a kid. And it's weird to see you as a whole person, you know? Like, I'm not going to, how do I put this? I could tell Trump was hurt by that South Park episode because the White House released a statement. There are school shootings where the White House doesn't release a statement. The White House released a statement. They were like, hey, look, South Park hadn't been relevant for a while now anyway. Nobody even watched. Ain't nobody crying. Nobody hurt. No? Like, I've watched... I watched Trump go to the Fed. He went to the Fed and he was with Jerome Powell. Now, Donald Trump put Jerome Powell in that position, all right? Donald Trump made Jerome Powell Fed chair, right? And now Donald Trump can't stand Jerome Powell and doesn't know who appointed him. And so he goes to the Fed. I guess they showing him where they make the money, shred the money. I don't know why he needed to go. He goes on a field trip to the Fed. You know, this is a very funny thing about Donald Trump. He has been very rich his entire life, but he still acts like new money. I have expected Trump to see the money being printed in front of him and go, but this dude he's at the Fed with Jerome Powell, and look, you can say numbers. You can say numbers in whatever order you want. No, you can say numbers and he can say more numbers. You can say numbers. That's your right to say numbers however you see fit. Whatever numbers you like, you can say them in 4, 3, 3, 4. You can do whatever you want. Numbers are there for you to play with. Numbers serve at your pleasure, right? Say whatever numbers you want in whatever order you want. whenever you want. That will not make it math. And so Trump is talking to the media, and he just like throwing out numbers. He's saying numbers, right? He's numbers, good numbers, and some bad numbers. Let's get those bad numbers out of there. Good numbers, more numbers, extra numbers, right? And quickly, almost immediately, Jerome Powell is standing off to the side, and he goes, Jerome Powell was shaking his head. You know those people who got like perfect pitch? Jerome Powell was shaking his head like somebody with perfect pitch going to karaoke. Like it's... And look, this is not something that happens often. No, Trump's used to talking, and when he talks, people either nod or they stay quiet. And we saw this in spectacular fashion in like 2020. Because he would stand up there, and then the people next to him, the people behind him, sometimes you catch them being like, huh? Like they were still trying to process what he said. But then he would just be talking. And sometimes he'd even turn to them, look for some confirmation. What do you think about that? And then they would be like, we'll have to check. I've never had the taste of bleach in my mouth, but... I suppose anything's possible. These experts, these doctors, these people, they weren't doing the thing that they should have been doing, which was because he didn't just shake his head. He said it. He said it out loud. No, 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 no. No. Maybe we wouldn't be in this position if more people, and I'm not even talking about politicians right now, I mean more people who have to deal with government had the courage to say, no, that's not how medicine works, no, that's not science, no. That's not English. No. A simple no is powerful. You know? And so sure enough, Trump hates Jerome Powell. Trump hates Jerome. Oh, he hates Jerome. Oh. Trump hates Jerome. Trump hates Jerome Powell. Like, let Jerome. Trump hates Jerome Powell, so he hate him so good. Trump hates Jerome Powell so much, he did something he never does. He did something we haven't seen him do either time he's been president. He did something I didn't even think he was capable to do. Trump hates Jerome Powell so much. Through his teeth, he hate him. He hate him so much that Donald Trump did homework. Because he was saying the numbers, and he was saying the numbers, and he was saying the numbers, he was saying the numbers. And then Jerome Powell went, no. And even Tim Scott was next to Trump, nodding and saying yes, while he was saying no. Yes, with those big teeth, saying yes, swinging those teeth, yes. But Donald Trump heard Jerome Powell's no, and it was almost like he had practiced this. He was ready. He hates Jerome Powell so much. Ooh, he hates. Ooh, he hate him. And so he goes, huh? What? No. Oh, well, I have the paper right here. And then Donald Trump pulled out a piece of paper and handed it to Jerome Powell like it was checkmate. I had never seen this man prepared in his life. Usually, when Trump has a chart or a piece of paper, it's because he already has a point he's trying to make and he's just using that to illustrate. Trump has never had a Trump card. Man pulled out the piece of paper. You could see even Jerome was surprised. He was like, paper? Reading? You saw Jerome. Jerome had to break out the glasses for it. He was like, oh. And because numbers are numbers, because math is at least something that, even if you have bias, even if you have an intention towards an intended goal, the math will still make sense or not make sense. Something will be true or not true, right? And so even Jerome Powell, I'm not saying I know this man. I'm not saying he's infallible. But in this moment, I'm thinking maybe he's even thinking, whoa, what if I'm wrong here? What if there's something I don't know about? The president just pulled a piece of paper out as soon as I started saying no, like he rehearsed this. So he takes the piece of paper, throws the glasses on, and you can see him reading it. You can watch the clip. And he goes, no, this old, no.
Nothing. Mira.